I hate Emily for being too kind. There, I said it. And it's not just a fleeting frustration. It's a simmering resentment that's been boiling inside me for months. It all began when Emily moved into the house next door. At first, I thought she was just another neighbor, someone I could nod to in passing and exchange pleasantries with when necessary. But Emily had a way of worming her way into everyone's hearts, like a friendly virus infecting the whole neighborhood with kindness. It started innocently enough. She brought over a plate of warm cookies when after she moved in, a gesture that seemed harmless at the time. But then she started mowing our lawn when she did hers, insisting that it was no trouble at all. She even offered to watch our kids when my husband and I needed a night out, never accepting payment and always leaving with a smile. At first, I appreciated her gestures. It was nice to have a neighbor who cared, who went out of her way to make everyone feel welcome. But as time went on, her kindness started to grate on me. It felt like she was invading our privacy, like she was trying too hard to be the perfect neighbor. One day, as I was struggling to fix a leaky pipe in our backyard, Emily appeared out of nowhere with a toolbox in hand. "I heard you were having trouble," she said with that infuriatingly sweet smile of hers. "Let me help." I tried to brush her off, telling her I could handle it, but she insisted. And before I knew it, she had fixed the pipe, cleaned up the mess, and even planted some flowers in our garden as a thank you for letting me help. That was the last straw. I couldn't stand her constant meddling anymore. So, I decided to confront her. I knocked on her door, my heart racing with a mix of anger and apprehension. When she answered, she greeted me with her usual warmth, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. "I need you to stop," I blurted out before she could say anything else. "Stop being so kind, so perfect. It's driving me crazy." Emily looked taken aback, her smile faltering for the first time since I'd known her. "I'm just trying to be a good neighbor," she said softly. "Well, stop," I snapped. "I don't want your cookies or your help or your constant presence. Just leave us alone." I expected her to argue, to defend herself, but instead, she simply nodded. "I'm sorry if I've overstepped," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll leave you alone from now on." I felt a surge of satisfaction as I walked away from her house, convinced that I had finally put an end to her meddling ways. But as the days passed, something strange started to happen. The neighborhood began to change. Without Emily's kindness to bind us together, tensions that had been simmering beneath the surface started to rise. Arguments broke out over petty things, and soon, the once friendly atmosphere turned sour. The neighborhood began to change. Without Emily's kindness to bind us together, tensions that had been simmering beneath the surface started to rise. Arguments broke out over petty things, and soon, the once friendly atmosphere turned sour. Unable to bear the guilt any longer, I went back to Emily's house, ready to apologize. But when I knocked on her door, there was no answer. I tried again and again, but she never appeared. It wasn't until a week later that I found out the truth. Emily had been in a car accident, a hit and run that had left her in a coma. The news hit me like a ton of bricks. How could someone so kind, so full of life, be lying in a hospital bed fighting for her life? I spent hours by her bedside, praying for her to wake up, to forgive me for my words. And then, one day, she did. Her eyes fluttered open, and a weak smile tugged at her lips when she saw me sitting there. "I forgive you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Tears welled up in my eyes as I took her hand. "I'm so sorry, Emily. I was wrong. Your kindness, it meant everything." She squeezed my hand gently, her eyes filled with understanding. "Kindness is never a weakness," she said. "It's what brings us together, makes us human." From that day on, I vowed to be more like Emily, to embrace kindness instead of resenting it. And as I looked out at the neighborhood, now united in support of our recovering neighbor, I knew that Emily's kindness would never be forgotten. Kindness is never a weakness. It's what brings us together and makes us human. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for more.